Hi guys, welcome to today's video. It's going to be a sit down video today because I thought I'd tell you all about the process of how I wrote a children's book during lockdown and published it. So let's get started. How did this all come about? I do Irish dancing and there are a few little girls around there, and also there were a few Irish dance storybooks floating about, but they didn't cover all the topics that Irish dancers in general come across. I just started having ideas. It was a mixture of, they should have covered this in the book. They should have covered the topic of injury. Like, there are so many Irish dancers, even, and it starts with the little girls as well. Injuries, you can easily hurt your ankle or something and then not be allowed to dance. What do you do then? How do you get through that time? So yes, all these ideas started flowing in, and it was mixing with stories that other people had told me. I spent some time jotting down bullet points of the bits I found helpful from certain articles, so that when I was done with that, I didn't have like pages of articles. I just had like a few pages in my notebook of helpful information. Then I sat down with a highlighter, with a marker, and marked the most important bits of that. So again, I sort of got the most important bits from the most important bits that I found. And when I sat down to actually start writing creatively, to actually start with the story, funnily enough, the first thing I had was the last sentence of the book. And that has not changed since. I'll read you this last sentence of the book. I had the basic idea of magic dancing shoes. And the last sentence is this, the last paragraph is this. Grace looked at Patricia, hugged her and said with a smile, "They were magic as long as you believed they were. What you were actually believing in was yourself. The magic comes from within you. You are magic, Patricia." So that was the last sentence, and it hasn't changed ever since. Let me see if I can show you without giving too much away. There you go. There, that was the last sentence from the very beginning, and it hasn't changed since. The names have changed. I was switching around a lot with the names, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I wrote down the story and I kept working on the story, sort of rough ideas, what happens first, what happens next. And then I started writing that down and then kept optimizing that. I sent it around to a few people who I trusted, people who knew about writing, who knew about language, also people from the Irish dance world, just to see what impression they would have and what ideas they would have, and also to people who have children at the age I was aiming for, to see if they enjoyed it too, to ask them to read it with their children. So I did have a bit of help, and yes, which I am still very grateful for. While I was working on the story, I started working on illustrations because I thought this book will not work without illustrations. I was at a point where I thought, it's not just going to be a chapter book. I do want it to be a storybook with illustrations that either parents can read to their children for bedtime, or slightly more advanced readers could read to themselves. So I knew it needed illustrations, but I can't draw. If you follow my channel, you've seen my Bob Ross tutorial, you've seen the other things. If I do arts and crafts, I'm just not good at it, let's face it. But I had to start somewhere. So I got myself a little notebook and jotted down, and I'm actually going to show you the very bad first drafts I made for the illustrations. So this, I wrote sort of down title, that's what I want to be on the title, and I just sort of pencil sketched a dancer, so that I knew, okay, on the front page I want a dancer. Whether she's moving or not, I don't know yet, but that was sort of my first draft, my first idea. Yeah, then I knew, okay, next page is going to be, their title, next page is going to be credits, and then I thought the next page could be the title again, as you often have that in a book. When you open up, you see the title again. Next page, I wrote under here, I don't know if you can read that, I can't read it. So it says, sprained ankle, loves Irish dance. So that was the basic story about a girl who has sprained her ankle and loves Irish dance. And this This is my illustration. It's basically her brother, because I already had the brother in the story, her brother holding her, carrying her after an injury on stage. That was the next idea for an illustration I had. Next page is, it says on the bottom, can you read that? Dreams of worlds. So she's dreaming to dance in the World Championships. But as you can see now, she's got a bad leg, her bad foot from her injury, from that injury there. And she's on crutches. I told you these illustrations weren't good. But these were just for basic ideas. Basically, that's what I did on every page. I had like I penciled down what that page was going to be about and what the illustration was. Look, here I changed my mind. I crossed it out and thought, no, that illustration has to go down here because she's slowly recovering from her injury. What does it say here? Hard weeks without dancing takes care of foot. Yes. So takes care of foot. So that's it. She's slowly starting to train again. There's sort of the window in her room, and there she's doing some exercises. So basically, this is how the whole thing goes. There's some more illustrations. I just sort of penciled down. This is where she gets the magic shoes from her favorite dancer. That's the dressing room. You can see the bulbs around the dressing room mirror, handing her over the shoes. I just made these illustrations so I would know what I wanted where. The next thing I did was I actually started drawing those illustrations. I actually started giving them outlines and colour. Remember that illustration about the brother carrying his sister? This is it. Still not good, but well, a lot better than what you've just seen. So what I did, since I honestly absolutely can't draw, I tried to help myself. I just took a sheet of white paper, say I wanted a picture of boy holding girl. So I Googled that, Googled boy holding girl drawing, clicked on pictures and found a drawing that I sort of liked or could work with. Either traced or copied it onto my white paper and then changed the hairstyle or the clothing to what I wanted. So when I was done with all the illustrations, I scanned them in so I would have them digitally, printed them and then cut them out. I cut them out, I had them put to the right size, to the size I wanted. I had the text, the story was sort of finished, so I had that printed out and cut it out, and then I made a sort of first version of the book. All very homemade. It probably all looks very homemade and very unprofessional, but that was my way of doing it. So this is the title. It's called Patricia and the Magic Shoes. There she is. And remember from this little book, there, I said title, and there's that little illustration. And that's what it turned into. And then I actually just made a book of this. I'll show you the first few pages there. I left room here for credits and the title again. And you turn the page and this is what you get. I sort of glued down, see, I cut out the story and glued the bits down on the pages I wanted them, just to get an idea of what part of the story goes where and what illustration goes with it. That doing it like that helped me. I realized that most people would probably just do this digitally. Actually having it in front of me in my hand, just having these bits of paper in front of me and be able to push them around helped me a lot. I can recommend that. If your brain works the way mine does, I can recommend that. There's the injury. Remember in this little book, hang on. Remember the girl on crutches? There she is. There's the girl on crutches. There's the girl on crutches. So all the illustrations in here, all the drawings in here are me having traced drawings from the internet, which is why they all look very different. If an illustrator had done these, all the faces would have looked the same. Like the girl would have looked the same in each picture. But wait, look at her on this picture, and then look at her in the next picture. Looks completely different. But again, I'm not an illustrator. I'm just sort of an amateur doing her best. So this is the first version of the book. Look, there's some more illustrations, just to give you some ideas of what's happening in the book. There, oh, that's the scene where she gets the shoes from her favourite dancer. There's the dressing room, remember there with the bulbs around the mirror. The next step for me was, I know if I actually want to do this, and at that point I did want to illustrate, I did want to publish the book and make it a real thing. I thought the next step is I need to get illustrations, real illustrations from real illustrators. So I contacted some friends from the Irish dance community, and luckily had recommended 3 people to me. And I was lucky, I contacted all 3. The first one said, I'm probably not the person you're looking for, but if you can't find anybody else, get back to me and I'll help you, I'll do it. And the other 2 people I contacted were both really interested. They were both like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. I've never illustrated a children's book before, I'd love to, let me know. And then the first one who wrote back, I just wrote back to, and that just happened to be the one. Had the other one written back first, it may have been her to do the job, I don't know. And then we had a first Zoom call and talked about how we're going to do this. Is how many illustrations do I need? That was important for her to know. The price was important for me to know. I said, I need to know how much I have to be paying you, or are we doing this together and then we both live from whatever comes in, we share that, or do I pay you and then I get all the money? Which at the time she said is easiest for her. I just pay her, she does the job, and then she's done with it. So that's what we did. I sent her my first version of the book with all the illustrations, and she said, since I already know what I want where, she said that was actually really helpful, and she used the illustrations in the book that I made and worked off of those, like the body language. Let me show you. For example, from this, the boy carrying his sister, to this, to, by an actual illustrator, this. Lovely, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? I was so happy when she sent me the first draft of The Dancer. So this is it. Patricia and the Magic Shoes, illustrated by Sinead McGonigal. I'll show you a picture of Sinead so you know who we're talking about. Because you know me, I've written it, but this is the beautiful, also redheaded, illustrator. There's Sinead. Oh, isn't she beautiful? And she's also an Irish dancer, but she also illustrates and draws, and which is why we got connected with each other. There was the question of, do we want the pages full colour or do we want them just like this? We decided on having them just like this with a little bit of colour around them, because I said I do want a bit of colour in it. I'll show you some of the pictures. There you go. And that, basically, oh, that's the scene where she gets her shoes. That is basically how I illustrated, or how I wrote a book and published it. The next thing was then, because I knew I wasn't going to go to a proper publishing house, there wasn't time for that. I wanted to get it out before Christmas to sell a few, for Christmas presents, and then St. Patrick's Day coming up. So I just self-published, as in I didn't even found a publishing company for that. I just had them printed and I'm selling them now on the internet. So if you want one, let me know down below. I'll read you the text at the back so you know what it's about. Patricia loves Irish dancing more than anything in the world. Her dream is to compete in the World Championships. An injury gets in the way and puts her dream on hold. Her older brother George is always by her side for support. But will she reach her dream? Then, one day, magic comes into her life. In form of those shoes. Remember? Patricia and the Magic Shoes. This is the book. If you want one, let me know down below and I'll let you know how to contact me. All in all, I went from jotting down the story and some very, very basic illustrations just to give me an idea of what kind of illustration I want to go where, to me making this, and to lovely Sinead then actually making this. And oh, as a nice little addition in the back, at the end of the story, you turn the page, and if you're sort of between the ages of 5 and 10, you're going to love this. Colouring fun! Some of the illustrations from the book are in here for colouring in. So you have some there. Aww. So I hope you enjoyed this today. I hope this was informative for you. Anybody who found their way new to my channel, welcome. please stay, subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed, or leave in the comments below if you have any more questions and I will answer them as best I can. Thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely day, have a lovely week, stay happy, stay healthy and